Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, I am Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. So today, by popular demand, I have a list of VR games that is intended for adults only. These are the R-rated games with blood, guts, and mature themes. Now when I say that, adult, mature, don't worry, I'm not talking about anything with nudity. That's not what this video is about. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Don't even Google mature VR games. These are just the games that are intended for adults, rated R, blood and guts, the stuff that many of us are craving. Now there are of course links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead, but before we jump in, this video is brought to you by my sponsor Kiwi Design. Have you added about 15 accessories to your Quest 2 and it no longer fits in the official case? Well, don't worry because Kiwi has you covered. Kiwi's brand new carrying case guarantees to fit 9 accessories. There's pockets for extra cables, an ample amount of padding, and a hard exterior to help protect your device, plus a nice sleek black water resistant design. There's a link in the description to their website, and don't forget to use discount code Mateo311 for 5% off and to help support my channel. 2 quick notes before we get into this video. I constantly hear in the comments, well, these games on Quest are just for kids, or where are the adult games? I'm sick of this kiddie nonsense. So that's why I'm making this video. Additionally, if I miss any adult themed VR games, not the nudie ones, if I miss any of those guys, please let me know what they are down in the comments and also give me your feedback on this list overall. All right, let's get things started with Blood Trail. You'll take on the role of a contract killer who's been tasked with taking out a fanatical cult. This game has been called the most violent VR game ever, and the trailer does an excellent job of showcasing this as you dismember, decapitate, stab, bludgeon, or just good old-fashioned shoot people to death. So if you're fighting some interpersonal demons, or you're looking for a cathartic escape, Blood Trail could be an excellent option with its multiple different gameplay modes including Raid, Arena, and Sandbox. Now this game is still in early access after multiple years, so I'm not sure if we're ever going to get that storyline campaign or not. Now moving on to a game that did actually deliver a campaign, albeit a short one, we have Wolfenstein Cyberpilot. Now I went back and forth about including this game, mainly because this game is only mid. The campaign's extremely short at under 2 hours, and the combat just isn't as visceral and satisfying as its flat screen counterpart, but in terms of VR games, it is some pretty gory action. In Cyberpilot, you remotely take control of an array of different mechs, with the fantastic goal of eliminating Nazis. This includes everything from stealth kills, roasting your enemies from the jaws of a lion-style mech, and a good old-fashioned bipedal robot, packing a machine gun and rockets. Now, I don't recommend you pick up this game at full price, but it frequently goes on sale for $5, and at that point, it's definitely worth trying out. And that's similar to our next title, Doom VFR. Now, I'm sure many of us want to experience something like Doom Eternal in VR, but Doom VFR wasn't exactly that. This game was delivered back in the early days of VR, where no one was using free locomotion yet, and everything was teleportation. This obviously impacted the pace of the title, and while it was definitely a Doom game, it didn't feel like the recent Doom Eternal. It also launched quite buggy, marring this game even more, but it did significantly improve over time, and ultimately it's a good Doom experience, satisfying the qualifications of today's list as an ultra-violent, mature-themed game. I would, however, once again only recommend this game on a sale. Now, speaking of games that got better over time, Hellsplit is the ultimate mature-themed arena fighter. None of the goofiness of Gorn or the jank you see in Blade and Sorcery. This is ultra-violent, physics-based combat that just feels so satisfying. Now, making this game even better over time, they added really cool things like jousting, and finally modding support, which the community has done amazing things with, including a Resident Evil 4 mode. So if you're looking for an arena fighter, this game is a no-brainer. Now, when I think about recommending mature-themed, ultra-violent VR games, one of the first that comes to mind is The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. Not only is there a persistent, creepy vibe in a world filled with The Walking Dead, but also all of the people you interact with are just as violent. It's one thing to battle your way through hordes of zombies with excellent physics-based combat, cover yourself in walker guts for stealth, and just scrounge for your overall survival, but it's another to be forced into a situation where you'll have to execute someone. So for the VR adults in the crowd, I highly recommend the Saints and Sinners series. Now for a game that takes mature themes into a totally different direction, we have Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Not only does this title have absolutely stunning graphics, but it's a really trippy storyline that centers around mental illness. Throughout the game's storyline, you'll be experiencing both auditory and visual hallucinations, which is meant to be reminiscent of schizophrenia. To make matters worse, you're a broken Celtic warrior embarking on a vision quest into hell to fight the soul of your dead lover. The entire game is filled with beautiful landscapes, trippy puzzles, and some excellent combat. If you don't mind a third-person VR experience or using a controller, I highly recommend you try this game, and it's another title that goes on sale for dirt cheap. Now for those looking for a survival title, we have Into the Radius. This is easily one of the creepiest atmospheres to experience in VR, which drip feeds you a compelling storyline in this absolutely unforgiving world. You'll have to deal with random anomalies, shadow-like creatures, and just scrounging for survival. If you don't take care of your equipment, your weapons may jam or break at the worst possible moment, and this is the type of game that lulls you into a sense of security, as just when you feel like you have the hang of things and you're willing to take some more risks, everything will quickly go sideways. Overall, this game is an excellent combination of VR mechanics, intriguing storytelling, and one of the bleakest worlds you will ever experience. This title basically has a cult following at this point, and its success is bringing a sequel that will include multiplayer. But if you prefer to stick with single player, all of the Resident Evil games that have been released in VR are an easy recommendation for anyone looking for some more mature content. This includes everything from the classic Resident Evil 4 that's been ported over to the Quest, as even though those older graphics are a bit cartoony, it's still some ultra-violent, gore-filled action. You could definitely crank it up a few notches though by moving on to the Resident Evil 4 Remake on the PlayStation VR 2, which will take arguably one of the best Resident Evil games ever made, bring it up to current generation graphics, and add some whole new mechanics specifically for VR. Now, other Resident Evil experiences that are easy to recommend include Biohazard and Village. These titles each have a very different feel, as Biohazard has less overall combat and focuses a little bit more on psychological horror. Village, on the other hand, has you battling it out against werewolf-style creatures, vampires, and some other monstrosities. No matter which of these titles you prefer, they're all excellent examples of R-rated VR games. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys can guess what today's final title is, but don't bounce right after it, because there's a few more things I need to go over, including some mods, and just some titles I didn't include. Now, if you guessed Half-Life Alyx, you would be correct. This isn't really a series that's known for blood and guts, but it's undeniably mature and goes full-on horror when you eventually meet Jeff. Now, the combat and overall themes is definitely brutal enough to qualify for today's list, but we could kick things up a notch with some of the game's mods. Gunman Contracts basically turns this into a John Wick style game, as you take on the role of contract killer. Now, to make things even better, this mod is getting an actual full game release later in the year, so keep an eye out for the Gunman Contracts standalone version. Additionally, you absolutely have to give the Return to Rapture Half-Life Alyx mod a try. This mod recreates aspects of BioShock and utilizes official assets. It's an absolute masterclass of level design, it's basically way too good just to be a mod, and it shows that we need a BioShock in VR. And that was today's list of mature themed games. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Now, there's other titles I could have included, something like Asgard's Wrath or maybe Lone Echo because they have mature themes, but I wanted to steer away from anything cartoony and anything that wasn't really violent. So I think we have the list of the adult games that people have been asking for. If I forgot to include anything, let me know down in the comments. Again, I also didn't include like mods because then the list just goes crazy. You could take anything, like I could have said GTA 5 with the VR mod or Cyberpunk with the VR mod. You know, we get out of control. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, thumbs up. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. And as always, I'll see you guys on next time.